Hey everybody, and welcome back to another lecture with Coding with Roby. In this lecture, I'm going to show you not only our code that we created with our single API, but I'm going to show you our Swagger UI interactive documentation and kind of go over our HTTP decorators. So let's jump in. So where we ended with the code is within our books.py, we have from FastAPI, import FastAPI. We created an app which is equal to FastAPI, and we have one API inside using the decorator.get with an empty string attached with async def first path, and then we're returning a dictionary with a key value of message and a value of hello Eric. Let's turn our server on by typing in uvicorn books :app -- reload. And real quick, uvicorn is the import that we needed to turn and be able to register our server. Books is the Python file that we're calling the APIs from. And we're just really finding all the objects inside books.py, and we're registering it to this app, which is app equals FastAPI. -- reload just means with every new development to restart the server. And that means -- reload should only be used during development and development servers, not something that's in production, because the code should not be changing very often. If we open up our 127.0.0.1:8000 URL and port, we should get the application running with the return dictionary of message and hello Eric. And that's exactly what we get. If we come to the URL bar and type in OpenAPI.json on the end, we kind of get this ugly, non-pretty style of a JSON, but this JSON is exactly what we were showing in the slide before, where we're saying OpenAPI is 3.0.2, info comes in an object of title, which is FastAPI in version of 0.1.0. We have a path that's an empty URL string with a GET request, which is a summary in first API. And this is just giving us an overall understanding of our standard from OpenAPI on how our application looks. If we change this OpenAPI.json to docs, we'll get our Swagger UI interface. And this is what's so awesome about FastAPI, is that we got Swagger UI implemented within our application without us having to do any additional work. And it's awesome. So let's check out our first API. So we can see that it's a request method and its name is first API, which matches the name of our actual application in development of first API. We can actually click this little drop-down menu to expand this API request, and we can immediately see that this takes no parameters, and we will see later in the course where we are having to deal with APIs that take in integers and objects and JSON web tokens with authentication and authorization. We'll see a whole bunch of things that come with parameters, but this API is an empty string with no parameters needed. In the response from this API is a successful response that comes in an application/JSON header with a string as the value. So even though it's a dictionary of message as the key and the value is hello Eric, that's really just a string when it's getting sent over JSON. So we can come up here and click try it out. And when we click try it out, an execute button will appear. If we click execute, we just executed the request. If we use curl, which is an application software for being able to call APIs or anything over HTTP, we can see what the curl request would look like, which is curl-x get as the request method at our URL, and our header is just going to be application JSON. But if we scroll down, we can see the response body is actually returned, where we're getting a JSON body of message : hello Eric. We are also getting response headers of content length, which is 25, content type, which is application JSON, today's date, and the server, which is uvicorn. Now this is super handy, the Swagger UI documentation, as we start to create even more APIs throughout our application. But this is just a simple recap of what we went over in the last couple videos. If we go back to our code, we can see that at app.get, we can call a whole bunch of different type of things. If we delete the .get and we say dot at the end of app, we can see everything that can be attached to app, which is get, title, delete, which is part of the request methods, description, post, route. We can just go on and on. But the main additions to the app that we're going to be using in this course are going to be the request methods that HTTP allows for the request and the response. So we know that we have get, we also have a post, a put, and a patch, and then we also already saw the delete. For this API though, we're going to keep it at get, but here in a little bit, we'll be adding to this API list where we're going to really be able to dive in and create an application using FastAPI. This wraps up this quick introduction to being able to see the Swagger and the OpenAPI in the app decorator within code, and I will see you in the next video.